So two things first. Firstly, welcome back, vintage Mohanlal. Welcome back, vintage Laletan. And second thing, Bollywood, stay away from this film. Hi guys, this is Farhad and welcome back to my channel Popcorn Reviews. If you're new to this channel, then please smash that subscribe button now. And I have been getting so many DMs, so many requests to watch this particular Malayalam film, and finally I've got to it. The Malayalam film that we're going to be talking about is Thudarum, which is starring our favorite Mohanlal in his comeback film. I can say comeback because this is the vintage version of Mohanlal that I had got to see. I mean, it's almost like I got tears in my eyes, while watching this film, because, if you've been following my videos, I have been watching some of his earlier works like Kiridam or Tanmatra, which was stupendous work, and I could see the glimpse of that in this film all over again. And you can see by my excitement as to how much I want to talk about this film. This review is going to be spoiler free, so sit back and enjoy to the core. So coming to the story and screenplay, Thudarum essentially, when the film opens, there are two tonalities that you can identify with the two opening sequences that are there. It's like a cold open followed by another. The cold open has a very dark and murky, almost like an ominous kind of a opening which is there, with the setting of rain, in which there's this landslide that takes place, and it creates havoc in the lives of the people. The second one is that of the character of Benz, which is played by Mohanlal, and you see him, interacting with some of the people in his taxi. He owns a taxi, by the way. So some of the people in his taxi, wherein he quotes the examples of Kamal Hassan, Mammootty, and Mohanlal, also of why they are superstars, because they are good fighters. And so this is a very interesting kind of an opening which is there, which is totally unrelated in tonality also. It has a completely different tonality. The second one that I said was almost playful in nature. First one was almost ominous in nature. These were drastically different opening acts which were, staged in that, you can say, a dual opening sequence, if I have to put it in a way. And that, sets the tone for the drama, which from the trailer itself, you got to know that it was, almost like a feel-good drama, but with a little ominous signs right at the end of the trailer. The trailer gave you nothing away in this. And I think that was the beauty of the trailer. When it comes to actual story, one of the the screenplay rather, so one of the things that works in the screenplay is the character of Benz. The character of Benz has to be a immensely well written character. Why? Because you get to know that he's like every one of us. He's a common man. He's vulnerable, he's joyous, he loves his family. You also get to know that he has played an assistant to a fight master in the Tamil film industry, a reference of which you need to wait in the second hour to get to it. It's just not random as to how the grammar of the film breaks. There's a purpose to everything that happens in the screenplay. Now, many people will argue that this also follows the similar beats of Drishyam. On its template, definitely it seems like it is Drishyam. The first meandering act in which you set the world, you set the characters. But this is not Drishyam, and one of the chief differentiating factors is the characterization between Benz and George Kutti. If you remember George Kutti from Drishyam, you would know that he's most cerebral, very calculative, always two steps ahead of the cops, calm, with a calm demeanor, who knows how to get things done. On the other hand, Benz is that vulnerable common man. In a scene you see him being ridiculed, you see him being slapped around, and still you see the vulnerable side of him that eventually gets him into that brawl mode at the end. It's like a representation of a common man like you and me that makes that character hold the story together. And I think that was the strongest aspect of the drama as far as the characterization is concerned. Now, as the story progresses, the stakes in the story start increasing. Interestingly, the dynamics in the story there's a dual shift in the dynamics, you know, one with respect to the car and the other with respect to the relationship that you know, Ben shares with his son, both of which get damaged in that very scene, which is a catalyst to the shift in the, you know, the screenplay. You will see the screenplay, and thereon there is also commentary that takes place, you know, there's a searing commentary, you can say, of the power dynamics that goes along, you know, in the film, between the common man and the authorities, which is quite honestly the reality of today that we all are facing, you know. And in a scene you almost see the character of Benz, you know, it's interestingly his character name is also Benz, you know, the car. But anyway, the character of Benz, you know, pleading, you know, to get his car out, you know, which has been almost like, you know, hijacked by the cops. And I think that again is a trigger motion for something bigger to happen. You know, the commentary goes on increasing and increasing, even as characters, you know, go from point A to point B with a little pit stop in the between, in the center of it. The little pit stop is almost symbolic of the kind of image that the media wants to portray of the nation, whereas the reality is different, something that you see when the setting changes, you know. And I'm purposely keeping things vague, you know, to not allow spoilers to seep in. So things may look a little vague, but it is what it is, you know. And there are definite comparisons with nature, you know. There is a comparison between humans and snakes and elephants with respect to the characters in the fray. This, you know, while you know, the drama continues to get, you know, personal for Benz, you know, it almost unfolds like, if I can say so, a Shakespearean tragedy for him, you know, which comes out of nowhere. And a lot of it, you know, depends on the characterization of the characters around Benz as well, you know, and how, you know, things shift in his life and how things, you know, actually change his life for the worse. And that is something, you know, that is interesting to watch, a little cat and mouse game that eventually goes on. There are underlying emotions that are highlighted in the screenplay. Overall, I think the screenplay was very well written. When it came to the final act, though, there was a change in the grammar, so to say, in which all fury, you know, hits the roof. And I think that is something that was, again, you know, a break in the template, you can say so. From going from a feel-good drama to a ominous kind of a thriller, you really don't know where it is headed, by the way, to something that is some drastically different. And that was, I think, the victory. Although I did feel that there were the little lags in the final act, things did get a little repetitive, but I really like, you know, how they represented karma in the setup, so to say, with the forest spirituality, gods that are there, you know. I think that was a very good representation of karma. So overall, I absolutely love the screenplay. It really added value with the vulnerability of the protagonist, you know, to see that character arc to actually complete at the end. And I think that was a very interesting kind of a thing. The revelation, the reveal, by the way, is right at the end, you know. So you really don't know why things are happening or why things are staged the way they are. So that revelation is right at the end. I'm keeping things vague so that you don't, you know, have to skip the video. Coming to the technical aspects, the dialogues, the music and the direction, I think the dialogues are very well thought out, you know, because they highlight the underlying emotions in the drama really well, you know. One huge shout out again to Jakes Bijoy, because I think Jakes Bijoy is that one MVP from the Malayalam film industry who always, you know, understands the assignment so well. So while his songs are really good, you know, and go well with the mood of the drama, it is the BGM that absolutely nails it, you know. Right from that opening shot, which actually has that ominous signs, which is reflected in the drama, almost alerting and preparing the audience for the worst to happen. Do something, you know, like you know, the sounds of the nature that he incorporates, almost you know, breaking grammar as the character arcs also shapes up. I think that was a very interesting thing. Even the close-ups, you know, of the characters, you know, especially that of Mohanlal, is backed by beautiful BGM. You know, it's Jakes Bijoy who's absolutely nailed the BGM in this case. Absolutely nailed, no doubt about it. You know, enough said. absolutely brilliant to the core. He heightens the drama, allows it to simmer, and absolutely nails the emotions in store. The cinematography also has to be wonderful, comprising of wider shots to close-ups. I think each, the transition between the wider shots and the close-ups, reveal the character arc that is there. It reveals the vulnerability of the protagonist in two different scenarios. As the film progresses, you start to get closer and closer, almost symbolic of how, the characters go into a tipping point, after, discovering something in the film, going towards the tipping point to absolutely hell, breaking loose at the end. And that is represented by the framing that is there. It keeps on getting closer and closer and closer. And I think that makes for a wonderful, wonderful watch. It's very searing. Editing is crisp as well. It definitely makes a solid impact, as far as the grippingness of the drama, if that is the word. If the to maintain the gripping nature of the drama, so the gripping nature of the drama is largely attributed also to the editing that keeps you on your toes, barring the little moments of lag in the final act. I would say that didn't really, it could have been edited out, let's put it that way. But other than that, editing was also pretty solid. Director Tharun Moorthy. I know there is a fanboy in the director that is showcased here. There are nuggets literally that are represented in the drama. One nugget being the flour mill, I think, which the character of Shobna takes care of. That is named Pavitra. It says purity. It has a relevance in the film, but it's also a reference to the Mohanlal and Shobna 1994 film Pavitra. I remember some of you all recommending me that film. That is how I related to it. You see how things are working in shape in this channel. But anyway, I think the director deserves a lot of credit to nurture the personality of the superstar that he had at his disposal. The idea of him being vulnerable only for hell to break fury at the end and complete the character arc was something that the director absolutely nailed it in. And the presentation that was there, of keeping the mystery alive till the end was something that was absolutely a director's stamp in the film. So absolutely amazing job. Coming to the performances are absolutely amazing. I was particularly also impressed with Prakash Verma, who plays one of the characters of the cop. Binu Pappu is also exceptional, does a wonderful job. Farhan Fazil also is competent, does a good job. It was pleasure to watch Shobna, who, after so many years still maintains that dignity in her performance. I've been watching her films as well, on this channel as a part of the retro stuff or Blast from the Past stuff. And she still holds that, that poise and that grace in front of the screen, almost being accommodative of people around her. And I think that's the best compliment any artist can have. All the other actors, from Arsha Baiju to Thomas Matthew, all of them do a smashing job. But the star of the show has got to be Mohanlal. This is absolutely vintage Lalitan on display. Simple things. Let me just lay out a couple of examples. The relationship that the character shares with the car was only on paper. An incompetent actor would never have been able to transfer these emotions to the audience. And it took the prowess of Mohanlal to actually convince the audience and how about his feelings for the car and his attachment for the car, related to his past and his history. In another scene, you see him breaking down in the shower. Firstly, you see him almost wiping off blood, almost figuratively and literally, and later, breaking down in the shower. That breaking down scene got me memories of Kiridam, that final act. If you remember, I had praised it on this channel as well, of him talking to his sister as to not to go into the world of crime like he has. Similarly here, in a different context, you see him absolutely breaking down that it touches you with your emotions. I mean, I literally had tears in my eyes not only for the scene, but because I've got to witness a Lalitan performance, the vintage Lalitan performance on the big screen after a very, very long time. And I cannot be the happiest. I was actually dancing, there was happy tears in my eyes as well. So officially, our vintage Lalitan is back, 2 back-to-back hits in a single month. And that's how the tide changes in the Malayalam film industry. It's just like the night goes off very fast, and now it's only the new dawn to look forward to. And I can't imagine if this form is continued, the whole new generation is going to witness some of the brilliant Mohanlal performances that would follow potentially after this film. And I'm actually excited. This might be the start of something special. Imagine Mammootty and Mohanlal at their second peak all over again for an entire new generation to discover, study and cherish. It's absolutely mind-boggling of what it can happen. So overall, Thudarum basically stands for to be continued, but just to end the video, Thudarum is an unassumingly gritty thriller, is what I would call it, with exceptional performances backed by a vintage Lalitan act that absolutely scores, absolutely hits it out of the park. I absolutely loved the film. Yes, there were a few flaws, but that's okay. The performance of Mohanlal is the highlight of the film for me, coupled by excellent direction and excellent BGM, cinematography, you name it, the technical department and the acting department. And the director has nailed it. I think this is one of the highlights, one of the best Malayalam films that I have watched this year. And it makes such a pleasant watch, and highly recommended from my end. So if you are liking the video, please remember to smash that like button as a video ritual. Also, remember to, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends and family. Let's grow this family together. And also comment on the video. Liking, commenting helps fuel the YouTube algorithm. I would love to, hear your thoughts on what did you make of the film. Did you like it? Did you not like it? How was Lalitan's performance? That's it. If you'd like to read my detailed review of Thudarum, it's available on my site, Popcorn Reviews with a double S, the link of which is in the description box below. I also, you can follow me on different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Letterboxd. I do not end up making a video on everything that I watch, but I do write a lot. All information is present on my site, Popcorn Reviews with a double S. You can read the reviews in your language as well. Remember, double S is a brand, Popcorn Reviews. Also, you can leave a follow on my social media handles if you like. I'll see you again soon with another video. Till then, take care of yourselves and thank you so much for your love and support. Cheers.